Welcome to Midcard Maniacs. I'm Jay.
And I'm John.
And today's good idea, bad idea. Is it a good idea to have Abadon join AEW? Well, if you watch my other video that says, yes, it's a great idea, well, you know the answer. Yeah. Now I understand this seems like such a redundant video to make, but I made that video prior to Abadon getting signed. She had one match against Sheeta, and I was like, we need her. Now she's been signed, and she's been used probably 3 or 4 times since. Is it still a good idea to have Abadon signed to AEW? I'm gonna go with a good idea.
And I'm going to second that idea because she is a unique character that you feel is a lost art in wrestling. The supernatural character, because kayfabe is like everybody knows who the wrestlers are. They have a real life. Like Abadon is not a supernatural being in real life.
You don't know that.
It's hard to get a character like that over. And I fully think that having someone like this and her playing this part in AEW is a good idea, even though we're supposed to assume AEW is more sports oriented.
Right, like they have their ranking system and they're trying to take things a little bit more serious, but at the same time, you can't take everything serious and look at AEW that exact same way when they have Matt Hardy teleporting and changing characters on the whim, or Orange Cassidy kind of being his own character, and even playing up Luchasaurus.
Or even in the women's division, Chris Statlander.
Right, like they play to her as being an alien. And sure, sometimes they might say, oh, she thinks she's an alien, or Luchasaurus thinks he's a dinosaur. There are also other times when they're like, did you know that he's 65 million years old? That kind of thing suggests that they're going to go in a different direction with AEW. And obviously when they're trying to separate themselves from the outlandish other promotions sometimes, maybe they don't want to push too hard into certain areas. However, they've allowed Abadon the Monster to go full force into what she has been doing in Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. Now, she hasn't been wrestling for that long, to be honest. I think it's only a couple years. But from what I've saw when I did the initial video to what I've seen now, like, she has improved greatly and she's so good at what she does. But more importantly, the character that surrounds her. There's time for all wrestlers to grow. But if you don't have the character, then you can't get that far in this business. And I think a lot of people know that. So Abadon is fucking owning this. She's just so creepy. This is something that you put on TV and people are like, did you see that last night? This is something that you go to high school. Well, we're not in high school. I'm just saying, like, people in high school would say, like, did you see this last night? Oh my God, she was so creepy the way that she broke her neck and she went back into the fight. That is just too cool.
And she becomes that credible threat by growing and letting this character be that supernatural being. In fact, you can have her face Nyla Rose, and you look at Nyla Rose and you think she can squash anybody because she's a powerhouse. But going against someone like Abadon, maybe that's not the case. You can have her go against Dr. Britt Baker. You have someone who will try and weasel their way out of a wrestling match, and Abadon is that person who can make sure she doesn't get out of it by using the supernatural abilities.
And in thinking about the AEW Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament, the Deadly Draw, I was thinking put Leva Bates with Abadon, because then you have somebody that is immediately terrified of this creature, because Abadon is the monster. She's creepy and weird, and there's no way that Leva Bates would like want to rush over to the corner to tag her. So you immediately create a different story simply based on the way that she looks. And I know that Leva Bates would never judge a book by their cover. However, Abadon is an exception.
And if they were to create women's tag titles and having Abadon and Leva Bates be together, it would create a great dynamic for potential challengers or champions. Because if they weren't on the same page and they won the titles based on Abadon being this like creepy creature, at any given moment, you can see it as Leva Bates being the one to potentially lose the titles.
I know we're getting into fantasy booking territory, but at that point, then you have this immediate rivalry between Leva Bates and Abadon the Monster. I keep saying Abadon the Monster, but I'm not sure if they kept the monster part for AEW. Maybe it's just Abadon. I'm just gonna call her the monster, the living dead girl. I'm a horror fan, he's a horror fan. We love Abadon.
Think of it this way. Cody loves picking up old WCW pay-per-views. Halloween Havoc. It's like Abadon's playground.
Please give us this. Abadon signing to AEW is a good idea. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Like this video, and if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything Midcard Maniacs.